Have you ever wondered how a simple mistake could nearly lead to a disaster of unimaginable proportions? A peaceful evening in rural Arkansas, where life seems tranquil and uneventful, but lurking beneath the surface is a nuclear missile 600 times more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. This isn't a tale from a war zone or a spy thriller. This is a true story that happened right here in the heart of America. Imagine standing in the heart of Arkansas, unaware that a nuclear missile 600 times more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima is about to explode beneath your feet. It's a calm autumn day in 1980 at an Arkansas missile complex. In the control room, laughter and light conversation fill the air. Two technicians, David Powell and Jeffrey Plum, are preparing to add oxidizer to the rocket's fuel tank. This is routine maintenance on a Titan II nuclear missile. Little did they know the tranquility of this day would soon be shattered by a simple yet catastrophic mistake. Suddenly, Powell drops a heavy wrench. In slow motion, it bounces off a platform edge and strikes the missile's fuel tank. A milky white vapor begins to hiss out. "Oh no, this is bad!" exclaims Plum. They both know the fuel, 𝐿-50, is highly flammable. The look of horror on their faces said it all. This was not a drill. Time seemed to stand still as the gravity of their situation began to sink in. Powell and Plum stand frozen for a moment, their minds racing through possible solutions. The vapor continues to pour out, filling the air with a dangerous tension. They quickly realize they need to evacuate the area and alert the control room. What can they do? Every second counts. They exchanged a brief, fearful glance before springing into action, their hearts pounding in their chests. At 6:30 p.m., alarms blare in the control room. Lieutenant Alan Childers, shocked, watches as warning lights flash all over the control panel. "Fire!" someone yells. The pressure in the oxidizer tank is dangerously high. Childers and his team are forced to evacuate the complex. The control room, once filled with casual chatter, is now a scene of chaos and urgency. In the chaos of the control room, decisions must be made quickly. Childers grabs the radio and starts issuing evacuation orders. The technicians scramble to gather essential documents and shut down systems to prevent further disasters. Can they manage to escape before it's too late? The weight of their responsibility was crushing, but there was no room for hesitation. As they climb the emergency escape shaft, each step could be their last. The rocket is a ticking time bomb, ready to blow at any moment. What would you do in their shoes? Would you stay calm, or would panic set in? The narrow shaft seemed to stretch endlessly above them, each rung a reminder of the peril below. The climb feels endless. Childers leads his team, his heart pounding with every step. Behind him, someone whispers a prayer. They all know the gravity of the situation. One wrong move and it could all be over. Can you imagine the pressure they felt in that moment? Every creak and groan of the metal structure sent a jolt of fear through their bodies. At 3 a.m., the worst happens. A massive explosion rocks the complex. Childers, lying under a truck for cover, fears the worst. Has the nuclear warhead detonated? Has Arkansas just become ground zero for a nuclear disaster? The force of the blast was so intense, it felt like the very ground beneath him was being torn apart. The explosion is deafening, and the shockwave sends debris flying in all directions. Childers, trying to shield himself, feels the ground shake violently. For a moment, it feels like the end of the world. What would you do if you were in his position? The night sky lit up with a blinding flash, casting a surreal glow over the devastation. Fortunately, the warhead did not explode, but the area looks like a battlefield. One technician is dead, and many are injured. The investigation reveals that the incident was caused by a simple human error, a dropped wrench. The stark reality of how close they came to catastrophe was almost too much to bear. The aftermath of the explosion is chaotic. Emergency services arrive, and the injured are rushed to hospitals. The missile complex is cordoned off, and a thorough investigation begins. The findings are clear. A single wrench caused the disaster that could have been much worse. The eerie silence that followed the chaos was a stark contrast to the earlier pandemonium. As the dust settles, stories from that night start to emerge. Powell and Plum, the two technicians who witnessed the initial leak, recount their harrowing escape. "We knew it was bad," says Powell, "but seeing the explosion, it was like watching a nightmare unfold." Their voices trembled as they relived those terrifying moments. In the control room, Lieutenant Childers reflects on the decisions he had to make under extreme pressure. "There wasn't time to think," he says. "We just had to act. The safety of my team was my only priority." His eyes, still haunted by the night's events, spoke volumes about the burden of command. Meanwhile, the residents of the nearby town of Damascus are shaken by the incident. "We felt the blast miles away," says one local. "For a moment, I thought it was an earthquake. Then the news came in and we realized how close we were to disaster." The small community, usually so peaceful, was now filled with anxiety and fear. The Titan II missile, with its massive warhead, was a product of the Cold War era. The arms race between the United States and the Soviet Union led to the development of increasingly powerful and dangerous weapons. The incident at the 𝐸𝐵𝐾 missile complex serves as a reminder of the precarious balance of that time. It was a stark illustration of the thin line between deterrence and disaster. In the wake of the disaster, protocols and safety measures were re-evaluated. The incident highlighted the importance of rigorous maintenance and the potential consequences of even the smallest mistakes. It sparked a wave of changes aimed at preventing such a near catastrophe from ever happening again. For the families of those affected, the night of September the 18th, 1980 remains a haunting memory. The loss of a colleague and the near catastrophe left a lasting impact on the community and those who served at the complex. The scars of that night, both physical and emotional, would take years to heal. This near-miss nuclear disaster serves as a stark reminder of the dangers of the Cold War era. It shows how a single mistake can have catastrophic consequences. So, next time you think a small mistake can't lead to something big, remember the night a wrench almost turned Arkansas into a nuclear wasteland. The fragility of safety is a lesson hard learned, but never forgotten. As we look back on that fateful night, it's important to consider the broader implications. The Cold War was a time of intense rivalry and mutual suspicion between superpowers. The incident in Arkansas is just one of many close calls that could have escalated into something far more dangerous. The world was always just one step away from unimaginable devastation. Imagine the geopolitical fallout if that warhead had detonated. The immediate devastation in Arkansas would have been just the beginning. The international community would have been thrown into chaos, with accusations and counter-accusations flying between the United States and the Soviet Union. It would have been a tipping point, a moment from which there might be no return. In the years following the incident, both nations took steps to reduce the risk of accidental nuclear war. Treaties were signed, and communication channels were established to prevent misunderstandings. But the threat of nuclear catastrophe remains a sobering reality. The legacy of those tense years is a constant reminder of the stakes involved. Reflecting on this story, we are reminded of the fragility of peace and the importance of vigilance. The technicians, soldiers, and commanders who lived through that night are a testament to the bravery and quick thinking needed in times of crisis. Their experiences serve as a stark reminder of the human element behind every technological marvel. As technology advances and new challenges emerge, the lessons of the past must guide us. The night a wrench almost turned Arkansas into a nuclear wasteland is a story of caution and resilience, a reminder that even the smallest actions can have monumental consequences. In our quest for progress, we must never forget the lessons of history. Thank you for joining us on this journey through history. Stories like these highlight the thin line between safety and disaster, and the human element at the heart of every technological marvel. Stay tuned for more tales that will captivate your imagination and remind you of the incredible stories waiting to be told. Each one a testament to the delicate balance of our existence. And remember, the past is never just the past. It's a series of events that have shaped our present and will continue to influence our future. Let's learn from it, respect it, and always be prepared for what lies ahead. Because in every story, there's a lesson waiting to be uncovered. So, what are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below.